Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of On the Record, which will also be a quasi-trading Bitcoin because I am joined by the one and only ugly old goat who you can't really see in the screen, which I'm going to go to right now. He is joining us from Mexico. We will try to convince him to do some kind of an unveiling, but Ugly, welcome back to the show. This is your second time on the program. We have so much to talk about. Say hi to the people that a lot of them are huge fans of yours.
Well, it's so great to be back.
It's great. It's great.
I saw you on the cruise, and we had a bottle of tequila to share with you, and it never made it. So this has been around the world. We got lost with our baggage when your baggage got lost, and we never got to drink it. So we'll bring that to the January Las Vegas Unconfiscated conference and at the Canova dinner, and we'll all share there.
Oh, that would be great, man. That would be absolutely great. Yeah, the irony is my luggage and your luggage both got lost trying to get on the cruise. So I'm glad that you got the ugly old goat costume. That was so missing on the cruise along with the tequila bottle. So it's so great that you were able to get both of them back.
Yeah, so we wanted to make a debut weeks ago, but oh well, we saved it for the current fiasco.
Yeah, I have not been able to get my luggage back, and I actually have not even had time to file a claim for them to pay me for my missing luggage. But personal stuff aside, what else do you have? I'm looking at your desk. I see a very upsetting trader and some other goodies.
Well, since we're not live, I thought we might spice up the show a little bit. Known spices. I had to buy a bunch of them as soon as I saw that. I said, "Oh, this has got to go on the show." I haven't even opened it yet, but after the show, we'll start using it.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to I don't know, I'm gonna have to pull I'm gonna have to do something about that because I am looking to get into the whole diet and exercise space. And man, I was gonna brand my own stuff, but this is gonna make it tough.
Well, and this young guy picked him up in Bogota at the there's a salt mine church, and I saw this. I said, "Man," I said, "that looks like a Bitcoin trader."
That does look like a Bitcoin trader. That actually looks a little bit like me. Right after I entered my first short trade of the year.
I was going to say that, but I said, "I'm glad you brought it up." Oh well. It's a one trade to go public with. It's always going to wind up that way. You know that.
Hey, that trade is still going to make me money. I can guarantee you that. Well, I can't actually guarantee you, but I still believe that trade's going to make me money.
Well, I'm lightly long, but boy, I just think these cryptos are going to fall out of bed, and it's going to take Bitcoin with it. It's just starting to look that way.
Yeah, no, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for the end. We have to talk about your articles. Your articles have been absolutely amazing. I'm actually going to go through a few of them so you can shed a little extra light on that. We are going to go to screen share. Anything else you want to share on your desk, or if you want to show the amazing costume you're wearing, or we can save that for later. It's your call.
We can go ahead and zoom out, Eddie. And I kind of want to bring in a little BitConnect if we can.
Oh yeah, and sure.
Am I on the screen now?
Oh, you're great. You're great. We can actually zoom in. We can actually have you sit a little closer to the computer screen. Oh, perfect, man. Oh wow, that's a cool suit. Too bad it wasn't on the cruise.
All right. Now here, are you ready for this? Holla, 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 say, bill, sound money, sound money. Now, We just have to have more excitement. We have to get some of that BitConnect passion for the Bitcoin standard. Because it's going to happen. People are going to get excited about it.
We're gonna talk about all that. And okay, cool. So we can actually zoom in one level in, and that would be perfect on the camera.
Okay, zoom in a little bit, Eddie.
Zoom in one level.
What's that?
Excellent, perfect. We'll keep it here.
All right.
All right. Let's go to your articles. You've been doing some amazing stuff. I'm gonna do them in quasi order, and of course, this is Ugly Old Goat's Medium channel, these are all of your articles. You still have your featured article, How to Achieve the Same Results of a Professional Bitcoin Trader Without Taking the Inherent Risk. Not the article we're gonna feature in this episode, but an article everyone should read. You don't have that many articles. I strongly recommend people go back to the beginning of your articles. And of course, your Twitter handle is UglyOldGoat1, and I will tweet all of this out. Let's go right to the meat. You wrote a very long and detailed article about the gold standard versus gold cash. You talked a lot in this article about, Bcash and why Bitcoin is the Bitcoin standard. This was a graphic. I remember this. You picked up the Charlie Lee debate. Roger did this presentation as well. And it's so funny how he said that BCH is better than BTC in all of these categories, except longest chain with most proof of work. And like, that's the only one that matters. It was like the craziest irony. And yeah, I know my name is mentioned here. I think it was I mean, I read this a while ago. You had an update. I probably should read the slide update. I read the original version. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about it. Sum this up for us because we have a lot more to cover. Don't go into the Hyatt thing yet. That's next.
Yeah. No, I used to mint gold coins, and so I'm very familiar with the gold standard. And, you know, all these Austrian economists, I knew personally. And so it's wonderful to see the huge movement in Austrian economics, because it wasn't there in the 1970s and the 1980s. But since I know, the monument that was E.C. Harwood, who really taught me about the gold standard and how it evolved. And I think the biggest thing out of this article is people need to realize that gold is really shitty cash. It doesn't work as cash. The only time it worked as cash was during the California gold rush. And that was just in a certain time and at a certain place. And they were paying $2,000 per pound of coffee. Do you really want to buy coffee with your Bitcoin?
Right. So what you mean is when when gold was being used as cash, it was basically so plentiful that people wanted to get rid of it.
Exactly. They needed the tools to mine the gold. They needed Levi's. They wanted coffee. And so, you know, gold was plentiful, and the other things were dear. Gold was worth about $20 an ounce, but you had to get it back to New York to get that price.
Right, and you see the same thing, like when BTC proponents or Bcash proponents stand on stage and talk about the medium of exchange is the most important thing. How ridiculous is that?
It's completely ridiculous, and you know, it makes no sense. And Jimmy Song just made it so obvious. You know, with his article, I didn't even know such an article needed to be written. Sorry, guys, but I pay almost everything that in my day-to-day life with my credit cards. It's easy. I get, I pay them off every month. I get bonuses for using them. Why would I want to use Bitcoin?
Right. And well, you would, like in my case, I do because I earn Bitcoin. So I have to use Bitcoin because I don't really have another option. But I don't want to use that Bitcoin with merchants and with products that aren't going to use it to hodl, that aren't going to use it to, save in, as you like to say in your articles. So if I know my Bitcoin is just going to get sold, I don't give that person my Bitcoin. I try to find community members and I try to sell my Bitcoin to them. They're going to save it and they give me the fiat. And then I go with that fiat to buy stuff.
Right.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to Hyatt. Your next article, you found a really good article from Hyatt from back in the day, and you pointed out how Hyatt was looking for a new financial standard, and then people compete on top of that standard. And let me just read something from that article, and then we'll let you talk about a little bit of its highlights. The latest tactic is not to attack Bitcoin directly, but rather attack the people supporting Bitcoin. The latest tactic is not to attack Bitcoin directly, but rather attack the people supporting Bitcoin alone, especially those who vocally warn of the dangers of altcoins and ICOs and distance themselves from them. The latest tactic from the Bitcoin Pharisee, and I'll let you explain that, propaganda machine, is the false notion that those who support Bitcoin alone are opposed to competition. Nothing could be further from the truth. The difference is we recognize Bitcoin as Hayek's standard. We recognize the Bitcoin standard. They do not. These Bitcoin Pharisees do not want to compete on the standard. They want to be the standard or sell their shitty private fiat money for what they know is sound money. This is why they are opposed to the evolving competition on the Bitcoin standard and or opposed to those who dismiss their efforts as being misplaced at best, total frauds at worst, and regardless, a complete waste of time, money, and effort. This is not to say a replacement may not come along. It may, but there is no need to promote it or advertise it. Just show us. It's that simple.
Yep. That's it. And yeah, I label him Bitcoin Pharisee because it's true. Ad hominem attacks are valid as long as they're true. And the Pharisees, used to, walk around and say peace, peace, but there is no peace. And these Bitcoin Pharisees, they walk around and say Bitcoin, Bitcoin, but they don't want Bitcoin. And they use Bitcoin just to get their foot in the door, and it's a bait. And a lot of times it's just a bait and switch, and almost all of them, use a better than Bitcoin advertising moniker for clickbait. And the naive, jump into it because they think they're going to get into the ground floor of a new Bitcoin.
Right. So the idea is basically this: like, what makes Bitcoin Bitcoin is the fact that it's, it grew organically. The fact that it started without the intention of becoming a billionaire. The fact that it started as a grassroots science experiment, and it's able to maintain its values and properties because you can't change its monetary policy. And Satoshi chose harder monetary policy than gold, as Saifedean explained in his book. And everybody else pretty much just wants to get rich. I don't know, and the problem is, it's not always easy to figure out if the person creating another one of these coins, is he like totally delusional and thinks it's going to succeed, or does he know he's scamming? what do you think the percentage is between, not the promoters? I mean, the promoters of these altcoins is a different dilemma, right? But for the creator of the coin, like I don't know, like a Zcash or well, like all of these new ones, like Raven Coin and God knows what else, right? Like, do these people, do you think they are delusional, thinking they can create a new monetary standard, or do they know they're scammers? What do you think the percentage is?
I think most of them truly believe in their projects.
Wait,
And
you do or you don't? Sorry, I didn't get that. You do?
I do think that most of them truly believe in their projects. I think most of the people that work for these companies truly believe in these projects. And there is going to be a wake-up call that's a great delusion. And, that's where we are now in the Bitcoin. And that's why, you've got your technical chart that says, hey, this thing could collapse. But you know what? There's some good fundamentals for that. Not really for Bitcoin, but when the shit hits the fan, most likely it's going to affect Bitcoin too.
Yeah, no, and I actually, we're going to talk about that part also. Oh man, I just clicked this article. I didn't mean to because I had some things highlighted. So here's the next article that you wrote. I'm almost going in order here. This is from October 16th. Bitcoin is not ready for prime time. And in this article, you point to a couple of things from Tyler Jenks, who is, you guys are actually, oh, I don't want to give, let's, I don't know if we want to give away ages on this show, but so basically,
I think I'm older than Tyler. I'm not sure.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. That will be interesting when you guys meet. You'll figure that out. Tyler recognizes one of the main problems with Bitcoin is it has been watered down with all of these other altcoins, many being malicious, and has not focused on Bitcoin alone. So let's dive in on this. So you agree with Tyler and myself even that because the Bitcoin has been lumped with a lot of the scams, and Nouriel Roubini is a prime example. A lot of the people in the Bitcoin space demonize Nouriel Roubini, but like Nouriel is 90%, 95% correct because he's just unable or doesn't want to take the time to separate Bitcoin from everything other than Bitcoin. And he is a pretty loud voice and a voice that even the politicians listen to. And it's unfortunate. And here's my problem, right? So people have been giving me a lot of crap saying I'm a statist and I'm against free competition and all this stuff with altcoins. And then they use one of these, I don't know, I forgot the name of the person who made like, I don't know if it's a real quote or a made up quote when he says, when somebody, I think it was Chomsky or something, I don't remember, when he was talking about the Nazis and he said, first they came for somebody, like first they came for, I don't know, like the rich, and then I didn't say anything, like, and then they came for like the Jews, and I didn't say anything, and then they came for me, and there's nobody left to speak out. And they reversed that on us. But my view is this: I was one of the few people that spoke out against garbage like Ethereum, and I was one of the few people that spoke out against scams like ICOs from day one. Because I knew that once these scams proliferated our ecosystem of crypto, that Bitcoin would be lumped in there with them. And those that have the power to arrest people and stuff will not be able to tell them apart. And then the good people trying to start good companies would get caught up in the net with all of these scammers. And I've been speaking out since day one to keep this ecosystem clean. People continue to laugh at me when I say that the people on Wall Street are saints compared to the people in the crypto space on average. based on percentage of scammers all around me here versus the scammers that were barely around me when I was on Wall Street. It's like, I know Wall Street isn't great, but you know what? The whole crypto ecosystem was like foaming at the mouth when one trader from JP Morgan in the last 12 months was in the news for doing spoof orders, which is borderline manipulation. It's just spoof orders for personal advantage. He's not manipulating the gold price. He's just trying to make a little bit of money. So they wait a year for an article that exposes something bad. Meanwhile, it's every day in our ecosystem.
Yeah, and it takes a while to be persuaded and convinced to become a Bitcoin standard bearer. Initially, I bought into the same argument. I thought that competing standards were the way to go. I thought competing standards was, truly competition. And it just took me a while to see how it evolved, how there's a big difference between competing standards and what the standard is and the competition on that standard. And I think that's going to be the next defining bull wave in Bitcoin, is that we are going to become the Bitcoin standard. It's going to be recognized for what it is. And there are people that are working on it and working on it alone. And these are the people that we might be going through some dark, days ahead, but we're going to come out of it. And when we come out of it, it's going to, reach a level that it's hard to imagine today. And also, I think that it's inevitable, I kind of wrote this in my last article, that we're going to have Bitcoin Cash. It's going to be a real Bitcoin Cash. And it'll actually be free transactions, but most likely it will be done by small, independent, centralized banks throughout the world. And that's why I say, to me, the next big move in Bitcoin is going to be persuading other entrepreneurs, not the unbanked, because they don't have bank accounts now. Why would they get one that's harder to work, use and doesn't work unless you're, in Zimbabwe or Venezuela? So, I have great hope and a great future for the Bitcoin standard, but it's just not going to be developed in the way that people think it is now. And so these people that have been fooled, they're going to go through a huge disillusionment. And it will have, I think, some kind of an effect on Bitcoin in the short run, but not in the long run.
Right, and throughout your articles, you do mention this concept of Bitcoin banks. Now, I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit here, in that what separates Bitcoin standard from the gold standard is that you actually can have a micropayment with Bitcoin, assuming the Lightning Network is what we expect it to be. So this time around, the banks that are creating Bitcoin Cash with Bitcoin as the gold standard, the people can still choose a viable micropayment independent of the banks if they want to. And this gives Bitcoin such an advantage that the gold standard didn't have 100 years ago.
Well, I think you could always turn your cash into gold. It just wasn't very convenient to do so. And it'll be easier to convert your Bitcoin, into a decentralized Bitcoin. But there probably be some great advantages to use a centralized version that's on the Bitcoin standard. The standard just keeps the bankers honest.
Oh, I completely agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I understand where you're coming from. I also believe that government currencies are not going to go away. However, the big difference that the gold standard, you couldn't use gold, even though you could kind of use gold as a micropayment 100 years ago because of the technology and the fiat system backed by gold. The difference this time is that you could also use the Bitcoin standard directly peer-to-peer, avoiding the banks if you wanted to.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so I'm definitely with you there. All right, this article was actually really, really good. The Virgin trade. Oh, I did it again. Damn, I gotta stop highlighting because I highlight things inside the article, which now kind of disappear, and I forget what I had highlighted that I wanted to read. Thank you for the shout out, by the way. Did you get a chance to look at the videos with me, Willie, and Benzen?
I haven't. I need to go through and look at them. I just haven't. I want to be able to sit down and watch them.
Right. Okay, so when you go through that, maybe we'll do another video. I'm curious what you have to say. Okay, so I wasn't going to say anything because I know your backstory and your life history. However, you have made it public. Do we want to say a few words about this? I mean, it is public knowledge. I don't want to dox you here, but you did state in an article, I am an ex-felon, deservingly so, and a resident in Mexico.
Right. Yeah, I was hoping to discuss that with you. I know you've been seriously considering giving up your citizenship, and it's something that you know is constantly there in my mind. Every time I cross the border, I wonder, well, you know, am I going to be picked up for no reason? And you know, I've seen how our system works, and you know, it's really bad. I'm sorry, folks, but if you had you don't have the rights that you think you have. I love my country. I love our Constitution, but I despise our government insofar as it doesn't follow the Constitution. And we're so far away now. You know, it's very doubtful that we can ever get back.
Right. Well, that's the residency part. Do we want to briefly mention the ex-felon part, at least in what field it was in?
Yeah, I was in the precious metals business, and so a lot of these scammers. I mean, and here's my story. I was not deliberately scamming, but I was a young guy and I mismanaged the funds. I didn't exit. I just lost it. Okay. And then, of course, my whole world fell apart, and maybe I go into a lot of the details, you know, later on. It's kind of a way that I'm opening up to this. But yeah, I don't think there's bad intentions for a lot of these people that are offering, you know, different products in the crypto space. If they're products, I don't really think they're products. But that's not going to, and hopefully they don't go through what I went through. But you know, at my time, I mean, it was a combination of things that led to, you know, severe penalties, and of course I was shaking my fist the whole time too. So I have a lot to write about, and eventually I'm sure it'll come out in my articles.
Right. So was this back in the 70s or in the 80s?
It was actually my business collapsed in 1991.
91.
Or no, 92. I mean, I think it was 92. Yes. And then I did 11 years in various prisons.
Yeah. So a little different than Roger Vere's 10 months, right?
Yeah, a little bit different. Yeah, that was pretty silly video that he had. I was well fed the whole time. I was never tortured. And it's actually one of the most, when you're in a very high security prison, like a max or even a medium, it's probably the most polite place you can ever be. If you bump into someone, it's always excuse me. Nobody ever threatened you, and you never made any threats. If you made a threat, you wouldn't wake up the next morning.
So you were in federal prison.
Yeah, I was in state too. So, and then my business, I was actually running my business from state prison, and then my business collapsed and I got federal charges.
Oh,
It's,
and all of this was for financial crimes,
yes,
non-violent financial crimes, and you had 11 years.
yes.
So what are you thinking when you're seeing all of these scammers in the crypto space getting nothing, not even a fine? Like you probably did like not even 10% as bad as what the people in crypto space are doing now.
Well, I also I didn't raise the money to defend myself or use the money that I raised to defend myself. So that's probably a big part of it too. I mean, money does speak, and governments are corrupt.
Okay, anything else you want to say on this topic before we move on? I'm sure we'll be exploring more of this because I think it's crazy that people can do like 11 years for financial, like other than Bernie Madoff, like not even Jordan Belfort did 11 years.
Well, you have to remember there was a reason for that. And when I ran my business, the Fed actually Federal Reserve Bank actually came in and visited me, and I wasn't there. And all my employees said, "Hey, the Federal Reserve Bank was just here. They wanted to talk to you." I never did really find out what that was about. But basically, I was in the private money business long before Bitcoin came along. But it was based on the gold system, and that was the ideal. I mean, I had the same economist heroes that so many of the Austrian people in the Bitcoin community, and also what I call the crypto world, which I distinguish the difference. There's the Bitcoin standard bearers, and then there's the rest of them, which is the crypto world, and those are two different worlds. And I think both of them idealize the Austrian economics as I did. So, and there's honest people in there and there's dishonest people in there. And I think most of the people that are offering these crypto things like Bruce Fenton, I don't think his intentions are evil. I just think, he really doesn't understand what he's offering.
Right. So you were making private money similar to eGold, Liberty Reserve, Liberty Dollar. You were in that space.
Yes.
Gotcha. So I wonder if some of the old libertarians and gold bugs that are still around promoting gold, they might know exactly who you are.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. It's not really a secret who I am. It's just that I don't promote who I am.
Right. It's also the mystery. The mystery is also fun because if people pay careful attention, you have been on video without the goat suit several times.
Yes.
And we will see if you're going to be in the goat suit at the Unconfiscatable conference. That will be awesome.
Well, it will be and it won't be. I'm not going to wear this thing all the time. It's hot.
Yeah, but hey, let's keep you in that thing until January, and then we'll unveil it on stage. That'd be awesome.
All right.
So let's move on to the next one. We have a few more articles to go. And again, just some tidbits that I've been picking up. So here's interesting. So you've been generally bullish slightly on the markets until your article October 29th, where you wrote the following. In every other break testing 6,000, the futures were well below spot, causing me to be bullish. This time it's not happening. With this break, futures premiums have actually increased and funding has increased, favoring shorts, favoring short the perpetual on BitMax. This is the prerequisite to sustained bear market. So you are now favoring a sustained bear market for, I don't know, the next 3 to 6 months?
Well, That's the only thing, and that's not a timing mechanism. Basis is the worst timing mechanism in the world, because I think this was probably written just before you made your short trade. And
That's a good question. When did I make the short trade? Hold on. No, I think I made my short trade on October 12th. I think it's already been a while. I have it marked. I have it marked. I marked it on the chart somewhere. Here. I made the short trade October 12th. You wrote that like 3 weeks, two to 3 weeks later.
okay. Yeah, and I've been bullish as soon as we took out the 2-week high. I just, that's the way I define a trend. So I've been bullish because of that. But I'm so bearish on these altcoins, and the market's not going anywhere. The spread has really worked like a gangbuster. If you've been short the perp, you'd be getting paid, every 8 hours. And if you've been long the March, it's been gaining on the perp. So the spread has just worked great. And there's no way of knowing which way this thing's going to break. I mean, I went long and almost got stopped out, but didn't. And it went back. And I told people you could go either way on this trade. It didn't matter which way you went. It was a low risk either way. The people that went short, they faded me and said, well, Frank, I'm glad you guys made money. Make sure you take some home. And hopefully they all did. And, my long went in and made a lot of money too. So that's the difference between trading and not really knowing, what you're doing. And rather than just get out of my Bitcoin, which I have sold most of my position, I sold Bcash and Ethereum on the rally. And all of my trades are now in the money. I think my long Bitcoin are a little bit in the red, but the short alts are more than compensated for.
Yeah, and that's the big distinction. Like, I went into my short trade with very clear and defined risk parameters and money management parameters, and my trade was intended to be anywhere from 5 days to 3 to 4 months, because I don't know when Bitcoin is going to break down, but I'm still expecting a breakdown, and I want to be positioned before that, and I'm ready to double down my bet the moment it actually goes back into the green. So this is where you and I slightly differ in our trading strategies, because I've seen you write in an article where you would double down where your stop loss would originally be placed, which to me implies doubling down a losing position, which is something I teach in my classes never to do. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I didn't really say it that way. What I said is put on a trade that you normally would, but only with half of what you normally would. And then, and this is particularly people that just find themselves, they come out of trade, they get stopped out all the time. I said, well, just put in half of what you normally trade and double down where you normally put your stop.
But you have to have that plan in place before you place half the trade.
Right. You don't go in and enter a trade and then you max out at the trade and then you double down. No, you put on a very light, you're scaling in basically is what you're doing. It's a scaling in trade.
Right. So I don't mind that. Yeah. I say the same thing. The way I explain that to people is, if you are unsure about your trade and you're going in with less than you normally would, it's okay to double down that trade at a losing position only if, and this is where I change slightly, only if your losing position sets up a brand new short trade that you would have made if you didn't already have a short trade.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so that's kind of my rule on this. As far as doubling down a full-size trade at a losing position, you never, ever, ever do that. Now, I have occasionally, and by the way, and the moment I solved this problem in my trading about 10 years ago is the day I became a good trader. Like prior to that, I was a disaster. The day I solved that problem mentally, I became a different trader. And I do occasionally double down a full position into a double the size of my expected position, but only when the trade has started making me money and it now looks even better than I originally thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough trading right now because we have no volatility. And so you almost just have to take a position and, you know, or just stay out. But if you take a position, then, you know, you're going to be, if you happen to be right, then you can double down once it starts going your way. I mean, that's what I did with my long, but it really never started going my way, so I never added to it. In fact, I've lightened it up. I've taken half of it off, and I might just take it all off here very shortly because it's there's no indication this market's going up.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. And your next article from October 29th, we're only a week away from current time. Why fundamentals have no impact on short-term prices. And I want to read one quote from here that we've already explored. So maybe we'll take this in a general direction of your title, where you say, with exit, pronounced with a lisp and a weak wrist, we may well see a loss of confidence in Bitcoin, which has nothing to do with the fundamentals, creating an opportunity for arbitrage over time. Let's explore that a little bit.
Okay, well, first of all, I need to correct you, Tom, because I came up with that term and you just can't say it. It's exit. Okay?
Exit.
It's exit. No, it's,
you gotta go like exit.
You have to have exit. There you go. It's honoring Vitalik Buterin, okay? Because he's created this situation, and so I think we need to have, you know, what's going to be happening relate to what he did. So I call it exit, and I can't do that in my article. So every time I write it, I have to describe an exit.
Okay, so basically, and I agree with you. I think the fallout in this, you know, when the regulatory sweep comes down on the altcoins, there is this notion that everyone is going to panic into Bitcoin. But then there's this additional notion that if they come down in a certain way, then the institutions will, you know, take a little break from all of crypto. And everyone wants the institutions to come, which I don't think they are. So it's, everyone thinks that news events are fundamental analysis. Can you just explain to them that it's not?
No, they're not at all. And maybe they are in the long run, but they're not in the short run. It's just like, okay, I got out of my Ethereum after listening to you based on the fundamentals. And, you know, which was obviously a mistake. And based on the fundamentals, you could be shorting Ethereum, which I had several times, and I lost every time until this year. And, you know, this year I've done probably better on the alts than I have the Bitcoin. And, you know, but I haven't had a stellar year. I mean, I'm going to be ahead for the year, but nothing like I was in 2017, you know, when I was in the top 10 of BitMEX.
Right. So Ethereum is down big time. Ethereum topped at $1,600 and it had already fallen below 200. And I think it's going down a lot more because Ethereum actually has competition now for the scammy ICOs.
Yeah, and I like being short Ethereum in terms of Bitcoin. better than in the dollars. I mean, I have a position both ways, but I do like the idea of being long Bitcoin and short Ethereum.
Okay, so speaking of trading, your next article from October 31st, the last line in that article states, if you are obsessed with always being right, it's best not to trade.
Yep. And then you know how that is. Everybody wants to know exactly where the market's going. And if you don't know, you're a scumbag. Right, Tom?
Of course. Man, it's really amazing. I have people that are accusing me of being a perma-bull, being a perma-bear who wants Bitcoin to crash and die. And at the same time, right below those comments, there are other people that are saying how wrong I was for being bullish in December and early January. Like, how do you make sense of that?
Well, they're novice traders. And that's the way 90 to 95% of the people think. And all we can do is train a few. My message isn't for the majority. Though my message is for people that have ears to hear. And not everybody's cut out to be traders. But you can still profit immensely from Bitcoin by following certain principles. Now, the principles that I'm trying to teach is that you accumulate Bitcoin, and there's those entrepreneurs that have Bitcoin and those entrepreneurs that don't have Bitcoin. And my job is to get those without Bitcoin into Bitcoin. And because I profited so handsomely from being in since 2013, I have saved, and I call this saving because I was heavily into Bitcoin, and I've saved other assets outside of Bitcoin. Building, we built a little factory down here.
Oh yeah, no, we're transitioning right into that. So hold that thought, because I'm gonna have you talk about that in exactly 1 minute. Because this brings us to your next article of November 2nd. And there's two things I want to point out. You had a very good quote. You even put it in italics. It says, by the way, you do not need to be an entrepreneur to get started. Wait, that's not the one I meant to highlight, though that is a good quote. Oh man, what did I mean to? I restarted my computer, damn it. You had this quote where you talked about you don't have to be if you're worried about, you don't have to be a trader. You just have to be the best at what you do.
Exactly.
And you were talking about.
I've met so many great people down here, and I met a lot of people that aren't so great, but the people that really are good at their trade are very interested in Bitcoin. And my job is to educate them and get them into it and to teach them how to do it right. Pablo Gonzalez, who is the founder of Bitso, he made a speech that I thought was great. He did this, he called it building, but he meant building on cryptocurrencies. Well, I don't mean that. I mean, to me, saving or building is taking Bitcoin and moving it into other assets and other businesses, and then using the profits to, of course, hopefully they'll be profit businesses. Not all of them will be, but the ones that are, then you save in Bitcoin. And I think your model that you and Jimmy have started of building a Bitcoin business is the model to follow. And this is what I'm working on a website now. Within a month, we'll have an uglyoldgoat.com. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm probably going to sell subscriptions, a lifetime subscription. My life, not yours. And it'll be very, very inexpensive. because I really want to get that, and I still have free content. I haven't decided exactly what they'll get if they decide to subscribe, but it'll be a very small one-time fee, and you get all kinds of little perks.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that in January. Well, I'll work with you. I'll try to help you out by making it optimal. I found the quote, by the way, and this was excellent. As I was reading all of these articles this morning, I had to catch up. I've been traveling, and it says, HODL applies to Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone. No need to trade for a living. In fact, most people are not suited to trade because you are playing against professional traders like yourself, like Tyler Jenks, like Van Zandt, formerly myself. Maybe I'll start trading a little more now that I'm banned from live streaming. I may make a little bit of time now that I don't procrastinate with live streams. And then you go on, just like most, should not play poker for a living. Stick to the things you do best and be very best at what you do. Be the very best plumber, be the very best electrician, be the very best carpet cleaner, be the very best restaurant, be the very best car wash, be the very best dentist, and use Bitcoin as a store of value and savvy savings. And the easiest and time-proven method to do this is dollar cost average. And then you point to one of your very first articles, if not the first. So that was an absolutely great quote. And I do want to read that other quote for entrepreneurs where you say, by the way, you do not need to be an entrepreneur to get started. If you work for an entrepreneur, you are also a builder, but more like an apprentice. And if you are under 30, this is the best way to gain the necessary knowledge and experience to become a success. By being the very best at what you do, find a good mentor, work for him, you will likely remain friends for life. A true mentor will encourage your success apart from his own and rejoice with you when it comes.
Yep.
All right. I don't think we need additional.
A little bit different from our crypto world, isn't it?
Oh, it's very different. It's very different. I mean, these are real life lessons. All right. Let's move on. I do want to be respectful of your time. Oh, wait. That same article, you show pictures of what you are building down in Mexico. This is a massive warehouse. You're doing textiles. You're doing apparel. You built all this. And remember, people, like Ugly Old Goat said, he was in federal prison for 11 years as of 92, 91?
I got out in 2002, and it took me, I started selling Dish Network.
Right, you got out in 02 with nothing. You had nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And you were just like getting by. Now in 2013, you discovered Bitcoin. When you started when you started trading on BitMax, how much Bitcoin, like how many dollars worth of Bitcoin did you start trading with back then?
Oh, it couldn't have been very much. I don't know when I started on BitMax. But
oh, BitMax wasn't even around. They didn't start till 2014 because I was beta testing them in 2014.
Right. No, I bought my first Bitcoin in August of 2013. And I don't think I started trading on BitMax until 2014 or 15. I'm not sure. But and I got hammered on almost every exchange hack, and we got, and everything that went broke. Got Cryptsy, I got on the BitMax. I mean, I've lost more Bitcoin on the exchanges than I think I've made. It's just hard to believe, but it's true.
But you built all of this, and you probably going into Bitcoin, going into 2010, 2011, did you have much money back then or not? Or like how long did it take you to build something?
I had no money. I was building a business, and I bought my first Bitcoin on Coinbase, and I didn't have any money in the bank. I think it was my check overdraw protection that went on a credit card due to that because they ACH'd me. And that's how I got into it. And that's where it started.
Right, but like the reason I'm pointing to this is I just want to separate real professional traders from those that got lucky. You were able to build. I don't want to say I'm trying not to use the word fortune, but building something like this, even in Mexico, takes reasonable personal capital, and you were able to build up that capital because of your savvy business skills and trading ability, not because you got lucky buying Bitcoin or shitcoins.
Right. I built a separate business in voice broadcasting, originally selling Dish Network, and incidentally, we'll probably be using that to promote Bitcoin in the future with businesses. We'll see where it all goes. But yeah, I mean, I started this business in 2004, and it didn't really take off or pay for itself until the election of 2016. And finally, during the election of 2016, I was able to pay off, all of our debt, and I had enough to, make a reasonably large investment in Bitcoin. I think that would have been in November 2016.
So wait a minute here. The 2016 election is when Trump got elected, and your business is in Mexico. So you're saying your business greatly benefited with Trump's election?
Well, it benefited with the election. I didn't do hardly any business for Trump. I advertised, what do Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians have in common? They all use Homitel voice broadcasting. So, and I don't promote it all anymore because my customers, I built up long-term relationships, and I just don't need to. But and initially there was a huge capital investment because I had to buy the hardware, I had to locate colo centers and all that. And now I have a little bit of hardware, but I do most of my stuff on the cloud. I'm all connected with people that have enterprise systems. If somebody wants to get 1 million calls out tomorrow, I can do it with no problem. But it took me years to build that business, to gain the expertise and the reputation to do it. And so from that, I was able to finally, build a business that provided me a very reasonable standard of living, and with the savings, I was able to put it into Bitcoin, and that's what we did, and that's where we benefited. And
now you have this business, so you want to talk a little bit about this?
Well, it's not my business, and it's my wife, the beautiful Linus de Mar from Mexico, and that's her on the right. And yep, she's always right there. Had the dream to be a designer, and so I have the opportunity to help her realize the dreams. And the other thing is too, I've discovered that I've been blessed, and I've been given a new life like Joe, but this blessing, at least the physical blessings, really aren't for me, because I can see that without her, I would be completely corrupted again. And so this is really for her, because I'm corruptible much more than she is. And this is, she's not comfortable in the things that I do, but she's very comfortable in she's benefiting her people because she's from a little town called Zorrillo, and that's where our factory is, and we're going to be employing a lot of people down here.
All right, so let's, that's great. I'm actually really happy for you. I can't wait to go down to Mexico and see it. I will be speaking, I may go to the Satoshi Roundtable in early February, but I will definitely be in Mexico. there's a big conference over in Guadalajara, Mexico in April. Huge conference, like 30,000 attendees.
Wow.
And it's a general conference. It's not a Bitcoin conference. It's like an annual conference been going on there. It's like everything conference been going on there for like a decade. And I got and I'm supposed to speak there. So I'll keep you posted on that. You should definitely come.
Oh, my wife will want to go there. She's got all kinds of connections in Guadalajara.
Oh man, once again, I did something stupid and highlighted the name of the article. So I lost the part that I wanted to highlight in this article, but I think it was actually the same part we've already covered. But this was another great article titled, "Are You Mistaken, Ferdas?" And this was, you're going to learn, as I've learned, Ugly, that the amount of trolls and stupid out there is infinite. But your time is very limited. So the more fans you have, the more critics you're going to have, and you have to just start ignoring them. And I know I have this problem, but you just can't individually reply to stupid, and you just have to let it go.
Yeah, well, he didn't attack me personally. He was going after Bitcoin maximalists. And he basically said, that I'm a member of a cult, and what else? That I'm against money competition. So I said, well, I'm not a member of a cult. I'm not a connivor, and I'm not, and I'm for currency competition. I'm not for competing standards. I mean, it's okay if you want to try and create a new standard, but don't promote it as being better than Bitcoin. That's the problem. It's not what these people are doing, it's the way they're promoting it that is the deception. There's nothing wrong if they want to keep trying to build a new standard, but they really, they don't want it to be standalone. They always have to live off of what Bitcoin is, because that is a standard. So, yeah, I'm going to stay away from that from here on out, but I just thought that one deserved a reply, and of course, he avoided all the issues.
Right. So speaking of Bitcoin maximalists, you want to change the terminology, and you want to start calling them Bitcoin standard bearers. And so do you want to tell us what is and who is a Bitcoin standard bearer?
Bitcoin standard bearers are people that believe Bitcoin is Hayek's standard. And Hayek, he recognized the gold standard, and he recognized that with competition in currencies, there would be one standard that emerged. Now, he thought it would be a basket of commodities. And I know the reason he thought that is because it would immediately have a relatively stable store of value. And so that makes sense. But he couldn't conceive of something like Bitcoin, that is completely decentralized. And is based on a proof of work in a chain that can't be compromised. It didn't exist then. So we're at a different stage. We have to find the standard, and most of us have found the standard. And because we found the standard, we attack those who are trying to create new standards. And that's why Vitalik Buterin, came up with the term to belittle us by calling us Bitcoin maximalists. And we're really not. Bitcoin maximalists implies there's something else. And Bitcoin standard bearers recognizes there is nothing else. I'm not saying there can't be, but there isn't now, and there's no reason to see one coming in the near future. So we got to work with what we have. And that's what we need to be. And to me, Seyfedin Amos, he gave us a wonderful gift by his book by calling it the Bitcoin standard and identifying what that is. And I picked up on that phrase and don't consider myself a part of the crypto world anymore. I don't consider myself a maximalist anymore. I consider myself a Bitcoin standard bearer.
That's great. No, it's great. And one other thing in that article I want to point to, and I would like to spend maybe 2 minutes discussing it. I know I'm already taking up a lot of your time, and I'm going to read this paragraph. One of my early mentors in the space was Chris DeRose. I loved watching Bitcoin Uncensored with Joseph and Chris DeRose, and they were very helpful keeping me out of scams and teaching me why Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone is Hayek's standard. However, with that said, Chris DeRose was also influential in getting me into Counterparty, for which he was a spokesman. Bitcoin is a learning experience, and you don't learn it without making some serious mistakes along the way. I have my own comments about Bitcoin Uncensored, Joseph and DeRose, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I love the program. I used to watch it constantly because there was like a comedy hour. They were making great points and had a great sense of humor, and they just played off with each other like, you know, two professionals should. And they taught me a lot. I mean, your show and their shows were, and the things that I watched on World Crypto Network, those were the things that, you know, influenced me the most. And I'm disappointed with Chris because he's kind of, and you know, he wants to have me on his show, and I'll be glad to, and I'll find out, you know, tell me what it's like on the dark side now. But you know, I like the guy, but I just think he's severely mistaken, and we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, so just like yourself, so I think I'm trying to think of who my biggest influencers were in this space. And so there's three things that were the biggest influencers, right? So at the top of the list is actually Max Keiser for me, because if it wasn't for Max Keiser's show, I probably would have never found out about Bitcoin when I did. I actually found out about Bitcoin in either very late 2010 or very early 2011. Now, notice how I say found out. I didn't do anything about it, but at least it was on my radar. And that was because of Max Keiser and WikiLeaks. Because the Silk Road case, I didn't even know Silk Road existed until like after I got into Bitcoin. Like I had no idea. Like that whole dark web market and Bitcoin's use case, that was like completely like that didn't register with me. Like it never ran across my radar because that wasn't what interested me. The WikiLeaks case did, and Max Keiser talked about it back in 2011, early 2011. And then around the Cyprus events of early 2013, again, because of Max Keiser and his highlight of that, got me into Bitcoin. And then after I got into Bitcoin in 2013, one of the reasons why we're doing this interview right now is because I got a speaking gig at a conference called Inside Bitcoins. One of the reasons why I got that speaking gig is because a man by the name of Ernie Hancock and the Freedom's Phoenix radio show on the Liberty Radio Network interviewed me because him and I met at an event in New York. And I guess he thought I was more important than I was, and I was a nobody at the time. And he put me on his radio show, and I used that radio show to get a speaking gig. That speaking gig landed me a writer job at Cointelegraph, where I was writing about trading and analysis, and that took off my career through the World Crypto Network and then on. But it was Ernie Hancock who probably was the spark plug to getting me onto the stage. So that's number two. And then number three is Bitcoin Uncensored with Krista Rose and Joseph, because they did help me a lot in my understanding of what Bitcoin is, what a blockchain is, and that helped shape my show. I think when they fell apart, I took their audience because I absorbed a lot of what they were doing, the critical questions, the critical thinking, the interview style. So like probably 80% of my video style is shaped by what they did early on. And I was already, doing public interviews when they started their show. Like I knew them before they started the show, but their show paved the way for my YouTube channel and my entire audience. Now, having said that, their show was great when they were together. When they broke up, I didn't want to pick sides. I wanted to stay friends with both of them, and that led me to not being friends with either of them at the moment. In fact, I have Krista Rose blocked for several reasons. One, because he was basically saying stuff about me that wasn't true, and I blocked liars. And the other reason is, he's shilling shitcoins. So he completely went off the rails, completely went away from his show was. And Joseph is a little more complicated. I'm sure Joseph and I can work it out. That one is a little more nuanced. So that one is probably not a big deal. But yeah, Krista Rose went off the rails. Joseph stayed the true course of Bitcoin. But it's unfortunate that the show fell apart. It was really good. I've seen every episode.
Yeah, I always liked it. It was so much fun to watch. And they just played back and forth so well together. It's hard to find that kind of rapporteur between two people, and they had it. And I didn't realize it, but you're right. You picked up their audience, and you actually imitated their format, and that's why you've taken off, Tom. I mean, I was following you before you took off.
Yeah, no, I absolutely did. I absolutely did. Their breakout, like the disappearance, like the breakup of Bitcoin Uncensored was probably the greatest thing that happened to my show. It completely boosted my show. My channel already existed when they broke up. I already had some audience, but if they were still around, they would have a much bigger audience than me, I think.
Yep. They kept on going the way they were going, because there's a limitless number of ways to go in this thing, because the scams are still out there and they need to be exposed. I mean, they just do, and they were doing such a great job.
Right.
It's sad that it broke up.
Almost done. We're on November 5th. Currency competition. We already covered all this. I don't really want to read it again because I think we already covered it. But basically, this is what we talk about. Like, if you believe that Satoshi actually invented something to change the world, why do you want to dilute it with a scam coin?
Right.
It really is that simple.
And why do you want it to be cash when it doesn't work as cash? It will work as cash, but it doesn't now, and it's silly to, promote it as that or to use it as that. It's just, I don't get it.
Okay, so finally we get to, you did watch my interview with Craig Wright.
Oh yeah, that was a super cool, man. I'm so glad you got that.
Yeah, and I want to be somewhat respectful for the time being because I want to get another interview, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if I started this policy of like I don't want to give Roger the stage. That's why I didn't want to debate him at first, but then I did anyway. I don't want to I never thought I would put Craig Wright on my YouTube channel, but crazy circumstances call for crazy exceptions. And this hard fork in Bcash, like what people had thought, Craig Wright is just one disgruntled guy that's going to be meaningless the way Bcash has been generally meaningless against Bitcoin, it appears that isn't so. And based on and this is the reason why I wanted to do an interview with him, when I learned that Craig Wright may actually have more BCH hash rate than Roger and Jihan, everything changed, because you understand markets. And here is the thing. First of all, there is the reality of the situation, and then there is the fear and greed and confidence of traders and the crowd. So there's two things that goes on here. First of all, what are the traders gonna think leading into 4 days from now on the 15th, right? Because until I believe until a few days ago, people had thought that Bitcoin SV was an irrelevant bug on a windshield. But if nChain and CoinGeek and whatever else he has planned, but again, he doesn't exactly have the trust of the public, right? But if they do have 51% of the hash rate, what does that do? A, to the traders that are trading this mess, and B, in your article, even you state the following. And by the way, I read BitMax's announcement, okay, and that's what you highlight. It says right here, essentially, if there is a split, the futures contract will reflect the Bitcoin ABC side of the split and ignore the value of Bitcoin SV. So the backwardation is really a phony backwardation. The difference between Bcash on the spot market and Bcash of the December futures reflects what traders believe the value of Bitcoin ABC will be, and the backwardation is what traders. But the point is, so many businesses, BitMax included, have committed to Bitcoin ABC. What happens if Bitcoin SV has the hash rate? What happens to that Bitcoin BitMax Bcash contract if Bitcoin ABC does not succeed? And this is why right after my interview with Craig Wright, I shorted Bcash.
Well, I shorted it before that, but yeah, I agree. I'm short Bcash too. And if Craig Wright is right, it's the end of Bcash. And all these people that got sucked in with Roger Ver and Sayonara. It'll be interesting. I don't know if Craig Wright can pull it off, but you know what? And originally, I kind of thought the whole thing might have been manipulated, and both sides they were going to do the hard fork just to pump the price, because now I get twice as much Bcash. But apparently, it is very contentious, and yeah, it's one side. Which one is going to be the Bitcoin or the Bcash Classic, and which one is going to be Bcash?
Well, no, see, that's the thing, right? See, here's the problem that they have. Unlike what happened in the Bitcoin split back a year and a half ago, we knew which was going to be the dominant side. Right. So we knew what was going to be Bitcoin and what was going to be other. In this case, both sides believe they have the hash rate. And both sides want the claim of BCH. So neither side is going to blink first and change the name of their coin. Neither side is backing down, because the side that backs down and changes the name and offers a new ticker to the exchanges, then that side loses the confidence game. So I read an article that said that they called Rogers and Jihan's side BCH, and they gave Craig's and CoinGeek's coin the name BSV. And Craig Wright straight up said, no, there's not going to be a BSV coin. we're going to be BCH. So neither side is backing down. There's not going to be replay protection. Somebody is going to win. Someone is going to absorb the other coin. And this is like the Trump election, right? It's like all of these people have aligned with the winner, and they don't even realize that Trump is going to win. So I don't know if Craig Wright is going to win the hash rate game. I have no idea. But at announcing at this point in time that you are ignoring Endchain and Craig Wright and fully supporting Bitcoin ABC, I think is dangerous, because what if there is no Bitcoin ABC in 3 weeks?
Well, then our shorts are going to do very well.
Well, I hope so, right? Because in that case, like, what happens? Because there will still be a BCH.
BitMEX is defining, BitMEX is defining Roger Ver as BCH, and that's the only definition I'm worried about. I think they can't change their definition now. They've already claimed what it is.
Right. I think it's way too premature for any exchange to make an announcement on what they're going to assume BCH is going to be, because it's not like the last fork. And proclaiming that we are only going to honor Bitcoin ABC and not Bitcoin SV. If Bitcoin SV wins and they're BCH, that could, I'm not going to name any names of exchanges, but an exchange could be in a lot of trouble, because those that shorted the fact that they claimed that they're going to honor Bitcoin ABC, if BCH is not Bitcoin ABC, then those that shorted are going to demand 100% as if Bitcoin ABC went to zero.
Well, how would you handle it, Tom? I thought BitMEX handled it very well. I wish they'd addressed it sooner rather than later.
That's a good question. I would wait. I wouldn't make any announcements yet. I would keep an eye on the hash rate. If I was BitMEX, I would have a direct line to both Jihan and Craig Wright for this purpose, and I would be following up with them and making my announcement the day of. I would put all of this on hold.
That makes a terrible game for any speculator. That's why I wasn't interested in really holding on to my BCH through the fork until now. Now they defined it. Oh yeah, I want to be sure.
No. But yeah, but that's the thing, right? You want to be short because you think that you understood what they have said, but BitMEX can now go and change the rules, or any other exchange, right? Of what they feel. I would have said, because you see the big difference is because no one is actually, remember, BitMEX only uses Bitcoin, I believe, for trading. They don't actually, there's no BCH being held there. So it's not like they're, right. So they're not actually at risk. This is very different for them, right? So all they have to do is potentially open, they don't have to say anything. They can just say, we will let the market decide what is BCH, because right now you don't know whose side is BCH.
But the difference is with the other split, because it was on the Bitcoin standard, and they're on the Bitcoin standard alone, they got the benefit of the split, and rather than hold on to it and then having to account for BCH, they sold it and they rewarded all of their clients with the appropriate amount of Bitcoin. So I got this windfall. I mean, I should have had it all on BitMEX. It would have been better than the way I did it, the way I handled it originally. But I wasn't sure that they were going to honor it, but they kind of implied they were.
Right. But that, again, BitMEX doesn't have to worry about that, because no one is holding their BCH with BitMEX. Right?
Right.
So and their futures contract doesn't expire till December. So if I was them, I would have just said, by the time the contract expires in December, we will know what is the real BCH. But assuming that it's going to be Bitcoin ABC is dangerous, because there are people taking the other side of that contract. There are people shorting because they don't expect Bitcoin ABC to potentially exist. So if BCH exists, but it's not Bitcoin ABC's version, that could be a huge liability and a legal problem for BitMax. And you don't want to put yourself in that position.
I don't know how it could be, because they made it very clear what they're going to honor. I mean, it's a tough situation.
Well, right. Well, ugly. But here's the thing, right? They said they were ignoring Bitcoin SV, and they're going with Bitcoin ABC. But if Bitcoin ABC loses the hash battle, and by the expiration date, Bitcoin Cash, BCH, has no elements of Bitcoin ABC code, but it's still worth a certain amount, people that shorted the futures contract after BitMax has announced which side of the fork they're on, I would expect those people to demand the entire intrinsic value between their entry point and zero, not the value of BCH in the marketplace if it has no Bitcoin ABC code, because that's the bet.
I guess I'm not understanding what you're saying. Are you saying that BitMax is the one defining the terms here?
Right.
No matter what it is everywhere else, it's going to be BCH on BitMax. Now they could change and everywhere else and call it BHS, SAB, whatever, but they defined it.
No, but they did define it. See, here's my point, right? BitMax has just defined what BCH is. They have defined that as of November 15th, BCH is underlined by the code of Bitcoin ABC. Okay? Right. But if on November 17th, BCH is underlined by the code of Bitcoin SV, by the rules of BitMax, that contract should be worth zero.
Right.
But
well, no, but there'll still be a market for it.
There will be, but not based on their terms. Like, for example, like, I don't want to use myself, right? So let's say my cousin, who is not a resident or affiliated with America at all in any way, has placed a large short bet on BCH, on BitMax, based on the fact that BitMax has announced that BCH is defined by Bitcoin ABC code. If by the day of expiration, BCH is not underlined by that code because Craig Wright has destroyed that version of the code, there is still BCH being traded for market discovery on other exchanges, but it's underlined by a different code base, then my cousin deserves 100% of that bet, because that's the wrong BCH that is now being traded that he bet on.
It's a matter of who's defining the terms. BitMax has defined the terms. And so regardless of what it is with the rest of the world, that it's going to be the ABC, it's going to be BCH until that thing expires. They made that really clear.
Right, no, I agree with you. They did make it clear.
Go ahead.
So for example, like the value of BCH right now is 0.08. Actually, let me see what it is. Here's the value of BCH. Oh wait, I'm not screen sharing. Let me do that again. Here's the value of BCH. Okay, the current value of BCH is 0.0855. Okay. but as of November 15th, the futures contract on BitMax, let me see if I find that announcement. BitMax BCH announcement. And this is actually important. Here, 22 hours ago. Okay. Bitcoin Cash is expected to conduct a hard fork upgrade on the 15th of November. There are two competing incompatible hard forks upgrade proposals, Bitcoin ABC and Bitcoin SV. Therefore, there could be a chain split. Users holding BCH prior to the hard fork could end up with coins on both sides of the split. On settlement, the BCH Z18, which is the December 2018 contract, will settle at a price on the Bitcoin ABC side of the split and not include the value of Bitcoin SV. Now, see, here's the thing. There isn't actually expected to be a split because they're both planning to attack each other as of now. As of now, it's winner take all. It's not a split. Neither one is backing down. Neither one is blinking. So the assumption that there's going to be a split and that there's going to be two coins is incorrect, as far as I understand, based on my interview with Wright and what I've been reading. The split is probably not going to happen. Somebody is going to win. Now, it says right here, this is consistent with the approach Bitman took for Bitcoin Cash. Right, if you assume there is going to be a split, then this is consistent. But if there is no split, if one side actually wins and the other side loses, BitMax has chosen the Bitcoin ABC side. So if the opposite side wins and BCH still exists and has a market value, technically these contracts should be worth zero at expiration because they chose the wrong side.
Right, I agree.
So basically you have, they're probably gonna change their mind when they realize that there may not be a split. So, and this is the crazy part.
It doesn't both. If you have Bcash, you're not going to get both?
As of right now, no. As of right now, neither side is changing. Neither side is creating a new ticker. Neither side, they're actually going to fight it out. Neither side wants to fork off.
So everything could be double spent.
Yeah. So Craig Wright's side is actually attempting to they're planning to, as of right now, they're planning to just attack each other. Because usually these things are peaceful, like the Bcash split from Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Cash side, and Roger and Jihan. It was actually pretty peaceful. They went their own way. They created a new ticker, but because the math algorithm was the same, miners can jump from one to the other. In this case, neither side is interested in having a new ticker. Neither side is peacefully walking away. So they're going to fight it out until somebody wins.
Well, who determines the ticker?
They have to be compliant, like the miners.
But who determines the tickers? Is that subjective with every exchange? To a degree, it is.
It is to a degree, right? But that would only confuse it, right? Because it's gonna get weird. This is why I'm so fascinated by this, and I think assuming that there is gonna be two different tickers, is weird.
Well, right, there's only going to be one ticker then. But I think other exchanges, they don't have to have permission to create a ticker. I mean, the exchanges can't have one ticker for the two different things. The exchanges will create a ticker if the two entities don't, one of the two entities don't. And that's what essentially BitMEX has done. All they did is say, this is our BCH. Now, there might be others out there, but this is what we're saying is going to be BCH on our platform.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because if that's the BCH on their platform, but the exchanges the underlying exchanges decide to use BCH for Craig's Wright's version, if he does have more hash power, BitMEX now has a problem.
Well, no, because all that is a name. The underlying asset, is different. It's going to be there's going to be two different BCHs. Might be the BCH might be SIV on one exchange and BH and the VeerSign on the other exchange. I don't see it as a big issue, but maybe.
Well, we'll see. We will see what happens. All right.
I'm glad it was clarified. I was completely confused at first, and then I started to figure it out, and then I saw their announcement, and I said, that makes sense. Because I figured, why is this thing in such a big backwardation? And it's not. It's just the difference between what people anticipate the two coins are going to be. But now it's very possible one side takes all, which I like the odds on being short because I think it's bad news for both sides if you want to know the truth.
Oh, I'm loving the odds of being short. Okay, so speaking of short, here is the reason why I am short, and I remain looking at this giant weekly candles, 9-month long, even longer, 10-month long now, descending triangle, and I continue to feel that Bitcoin is still in for some pain. That is my weekly chart. The daily chart is not as useful, but the 12-hour chart is starting to roll over once again. Yeah. And we'll see where that goes. Here is my 4-hour chart. Again, it's starting to roll over. What are your, I know you're not necessarily a directional trader. You just take your opportunities based on what the market is giving you. But what is your sense and feel of where price is going the rest of this year and Q1 of next year?
I've been thinking about that. And I think that the market will hit its bottom during your Unconfiscatable conference. I think the timing is perfect for it. And, I mean, you're right on spot with that triangle and everything. And, I'm just sitting here listening to it over with. I'd love for it to go down, and because it's what the market needs. I mean, believe it or not, the healthy thing is not for this market to go up now. If we go up, then there's a good chance that we're going to go way back down, after we go up to between 8 and 18,000. Then we go back down and plummet through that 6,000 zone. I am not excited to buy this thing now if we break through that 6,000 support. I mean, if you're going to be long, you better be pretty demanding in here. And, and with everything that's going on, I just, there's nothing, I mean, it could just keep going sideways, but if that thing breaks that triangle, I mean, maybe it'll go through there real slowly and just grind its way down, but that's not typically how Bitcoin works. We'll wake up, one morning, it'll be down at $3,000. And now everything's changed.
Right. So I agree. I agree with you. And the number one slogan against me right now, I mean, I shorted right here. People are like, Tone shorted yearly low. And like, of course I shorted yearly low. What else are you supposed to do at a yearly low? It's like Tone went long the stock market at yearly high in 2010. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sell yearly low. You're supposed to buy yearly high.
Right, and the fundamental difference this time is the only thing that, you know, kept me from getting real bearish in the future, and I was buying it every time we broke through the 6,000 barrier, was the basis. But that's gone now. I mean, you've got a carrying charge. It's $100. March has been $100 or more over, you know, per. I think it's probably about $70 or $80 now. But you know, that's the way the market should be set up, to go down.
Right, and this is also why I waited this long to take the $6,000 short. I didn't take it here. In fact, I would have been a big buyer here. I even said on my videos here, I thought this could have been it for the bear market. I wasn't buying 6,000. I would have been buying 6,000 here. I did not short this 6,000. It was overextended. I did not short this 6,000. I thought it was overextended from the big fall. I didn't even short this 6,000. But now that it's getting to the end of the triangle, like the odds of a breakdown are just too good for me to pass up. It's like I know that I am going to get an 11 and the dealer is going to show a 6. I don't know if I'm going to win the hand, but I know what I'm going to be dealt, and I place my bet accordingly. It's like I know I am going to get pocket aces, and I know the other guy is going to get random cards. So I know I have a statistical chance of winning that hand, and I go all in based on that. It doesn't mean I'm going to win the hand.
It's time to batten down the hatches, because, you know, if I would be the best thing for Bitcoin. I know people just don't understand it, but I know you and I do, that what we need to do is get this thing to clean out this area. Then we can go up. If we go up from here, you know, we can have, most likely it means we're going to have some more pumps in the altcoins and ICOs. And you know, I'm praying that that's coming to an end. I want to see the demise of the crypto world and the rise of the Bitcoin standard.
I agree. I mean, the crypto bear market is so close to purging the garbage out of the system that, like, we just need that one more push down to eliminate the trash.
Yep. I mean, and it's hard to people to understand that, but all the people that I've been teaching, you know, I'd love for Bitcoin to just go sideways or down, and you know, I hope they can buy it a lot cheaper. You know, it's going to be hard to discipline these people that have been buying it, you know, at 8, 9, 10,000. But I've taught them. I say, look, this is a long haul. You just keep, you don't jump in with, you know, you might jump in with 5%, you know, initially. The way I'm treating it is the old way gold investment, you know, was promoted in a prudent manner, and that is you could have between 5 to 15% of your net worth in gold, and you just apply that to the Bitcoin now. You know, if you don't have any Bitcoin and your net worth is $100,000, hey, you should go out and buy $5,000 worth of Bitcoin, and then dollar average every month until it gets up to 15%. It's not that, you know, that's a simple way to do this. And you just don't have to worry about the daily fluctuations so much. Because, you know, right, it's rough right now. But you and I both know people are interested, what's the price going to do tomorrow and next week and next month? And that's where I guess we earn our keep.
Hey, so we're done. Just two last things, since I was only gonna say one, but you've mentioned gold. So as I expected, the stock market went up and gold took a deep dive down last week. What are your general views on gold and its near-term and medium-term outlook? I am now a believer that gold is going below 1,000 and will probably backtest the 1980 high of 800 and change. What do you think about gold?
I really haven't given it much thought. I used to trade a lot of gold. Historically, you make a low every August because that's when the refineries shut down, and you rally up through till about Thanksgiving. But I don't think we dropped during August, and then I think we had a new low in September. Did we make another new low in October? I think we did.
I'll zoom in 1 second. I just want to clean up my chart a bit, and I want to go to hollow candles. Yeah, so we made a low in September, October, and we bounced up a little bit, and now in November we're going down and going down hard.
Well, I'll tell you one way that I think people can profit from gold, and that is they ought to buy some of these private money gold pieces like Gold Standard Corporation and the one that, what's the name, the Liberty Dollar and all those. I think those will gain in numismatic value. And of course, you will still have the underlying value of the metal. And historically, the best time to buy, the numismatics is when the markets are quite low. So that would be, I'm really, I'm not into gold. I used to be, I was a gold bug. I believe in the gold standard, but, the Bitcoin standard is just so much superior to gold. I just can't believe, how people like Peter Schiff are so blind to it, that they don't see it, because it just functions. It's better in every other way. The only thing it doesn't have is what they consider, to be used intrinsic value, but it does have intrinsic value, and that's because it's unconfiscatable. That's the intrinsic value, and gold does not have that.
Yeah, no, and we will see what happens. So my last question is, what are your thoughts on the stock market in general and U.S. stock market in particular?
I paid no attention because I'm really not into that. I probably ought to get into that, but I didn't. When you guys were all contributing to your 401ks in retirement, I was being taken care of by big brother. So I've made my beans in the non-traditional market, and so that's what I'm comfortable with. If I traded anything, I would probably trade commodities rather than stocks. So, but I agree with you completely that, in the long run, you want to be a holder of stocks where you own a piece of property, and you're getting dividends. And, gold is a poor investment. It's a store of value, but you're not going to get rich owning gold. You're only going to maybe preserve it.
Right. Okay.
And eventually the same will be with Bitcoin. That'll happen with Bitcoin, but right now it hasn't reached its peak. It hasn't reached its stable value yet. So that's what we're all betting on.
Right. All right. On that note, I'm sure it's somewhat hot in your goat outfit, and
yeah, I hope I don't faint.
Yeah. So I am gonna let you go. Listen, thank you so much. Thanks for coming to the conference as well in January. You're gonna play in the Unconfiscatable tournament. We'll see if we can get you playing in the goat suit for the video cameras. That's gonna be awesome. But
I'll be both.
I'll try and get you on again before January. This has been a great conversation. Continue writing those articles. I think your popularity is growing. Keep doing your thing, Ugly, and we will unveil you out of that suit soon enough.
Well, thank you for having me. And I have to say, I'm really enjoying writing. I mean, I used to enjoy trading, but I'm enjoying writing these articles more than anything. And it's kind of like, I'm 70 years old, and so I kind of can sum up my life. It's good therapy.
Right. And people just don't understand. Like, I know you were a big time trader, and now you're writing, and now you're building a business. And eventually people are going to say, if you are a good trader, you wouldn't actually enjoy life. You would want to sit in front of a computer with 8 monitors and make money. You have no time to spend.
And yeah, it's the headache and all the risk. I mean, because I was doing a lot of arbitrage. I mean, that's what I was doing. I was going between exchanges and countries, and I had 6 bank accounts closed down. It's just, is it really worth it?
Right.
And so,
yeah, and I do arbitrage in traditional markets still today with options trading, and it's not fun, guys. It's not fun. Writing, building businesses, enjoying your family, that's fun. For me, traveling the world, doing these videos, speaking at conferences, that's fun. As long as you're making enough money, enjoying your life, that's what's important. Not sitting in front of 8 monitors, trading. There may be better money there. There may be not better money there. But I tell you what, it sure as hell ain't fun.
I have a prediction, Tom. Before we leave, I want to make this prediction. I actually wrote about it. I don't know if you saw it.
I did see it from my conference.
You're the perfect guy. You're the only guy that can put this conference together because you know everybody. And I predict that within 5 years, you will have the largest Bitcoin conference in the world, and they'll have a minimum of 10,000 people there every year.
Okay, so unfortunately, you will 100% lose that bet because I don't want to manage a conference with 10,000 people. I'm going to purposely try to keep it small. So,
you have other people manage it.
So because I am still a centralized entity and the supreme ruler and dictator of the Unconfiscatable conference for now, until I have partners that can overrule me, so it may happen. I don't know. By the way, I am playing.
There's going to be a demand for it, and
there will be.
It's the right kind of seminar. It's going to be not just for the Bitcoin elite. It's going to be for common people. It's going to be, you're going to be educating people, and that's what your dream is anyway. You love teaching.
Yeah, no, I do. We will do something. I mean, if there's demand for 10,000 people, we will eventually do it. And by the way, those that have been watching me play around with the coin, somebody did give me a gift of an Australian, because I'm in Australia, silver ounce. I've never seen this one. I've seen Australian coins, never seen that one. No, that's a kangaroo. Kangaroo. Australia.
Oh, I thought you had a goat coin for me.
But maybe we'll make a commemorative goat coin, man. We should.
Well, they've already done that. The Chinese has a goat ear coin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, so thank you. So that's what I've been playing around with. All right. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna do my closing statements. Unless you have anything else to add, but I will tell people how to find you. Thank you, Ugly Old Goat, for coming on the show. And
huddle, save, build a, sound money. Sound money.
And you can find Ugly Old Goat on Medium under Ugly Old Goat. You can also find them on Twitter under Ugly Old Goat 1. We're trying to get him the Ugly Old Goat handle, but somebody else got that and disappeared.
Actually, I have the Ugly Old Goat handle, but I don't know how to reclaim it.
Oh, Ugly Old Goat. No.
I had to put 1 on there.
Right, but who has Ugly Old Goat without the 1?
Me, but I don't know how to get it.
Oh, email Twitter. And do you know what email you put it under?
No, that's the problem. I can't find it anywhere. I've tried finding it. I can email them. I wanted to talk to somebody, but I can't figure it out.
Oh,
I just
man.
lost my TradingView account too. I'm going to hopefully find it. And
man.
I signed up under your. I'll talk to you later about it.
Yeah. All right. But anyway, you can find him as Ugly Old Goat on Twitter, on Medium, and hopefully on this channel in the near future. Hey, he's a great trader, clearly a good businessman, building some huge things over in Mexico. And man, you're doing a great job, man. Just keep doing it. And don't forget, guys, go to tonebase.com. Check out the Unconfiscatable conference. I'm sorry I can't bring you any live streams for a while because of my ban. on live streaming. I'm pretty sure that was a glitch by YouTube. So I will be looking into streaming other options, either Twitch or Facebook. I sure as hell ain't gonna do it on some scammy platform with an ICO. So please stop suggesting it to me. So I will see you all somewhere eventually on a live stream. But for now, this is how we're gonna be doing things in pre-recording. Thank you so much for coming on, and I will see all of you on the next one.